Hello, everyone. I am Kate Lincoln Goldfinch.
I am Hannah Hembry Bell.
And we are
Law Moms Out Loud.
Woohoo!
In sync. We're about there. We
That's
about
right.
have it.
In person, it's easier. So as y'all know, we help lawyer moms grow as moms, lawyers, and people. And we have a live studio audience tonight and an extremely special guest. Hannah, you want to tell us about it?
Yes, we are here with my friend and our fellow law mom, Chandler Baker. And as if I need to tell y'all who she is, well, can we just stop a second? I feel like we're going to get to you. But like for just a minute, can y'all see that we're holding microphones? In case you're wondering, we are upgrade. This podcast is going on the road. We are like able to do live. I feel very much like a newscaster. Do you see on Instagram that girl who used to be a newscaster? And she's like, coming to you live from my son's playroom.
You would have been a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. So anyway, I'm channeling those vibes into this. I decided I'm going to just carry like a PA speaker with me everywhere I go now. So I can just talk in that. But anyway, so that we just need to kind of say, why are we holding a mic for the first time? Mm-hmm. But Chandler Baker needs no introduction, but I will do one anyways. She is an author. So she's a lawyer mom. So number one. Number two, she's also local to Austin. Still true, right? Yes. Okay. It's like I didn't verify that fact first. And a New York Times best-selling author, Good Morning America book pick person, Reese Witherspoon book club person, author of the Whisper Network, Husbands, and then another book. I mean, there's more coming in July of this next year, which she can tell us a little bit about. Her her book, The Husbands, has been picked up by MGM, right? And Brad Pitt's, I'm sorry, I got lost at Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is somehow involved and picked up with his production company, right? Or direction company. How do you call it?
Production company.
Okay, production company.
You're doing great.
Yes, I'm not that good. I'm not that good at introductions. I don't really know how movies work, but
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yes, like what is she going to say?
What's going to happen?
So, lots of cool stuff. I first met Chandler at another lawyer mom event when Whisper Network was all the rage, and the Me Too stuff was very knee deep and all of the stuff going on. It was pre-COVID. So I was pretty new to Austin at that point. And I was very like, I think I might've read the book. That's probably when I read it for the first time and was very fangirling the whole time. And so I'm like, question. Afterwards, I'm like, can I please stay and ask you a lot more questions? And I've kept bugging her ever since. So Chandler, we're super glad to have you here.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, I mean, I could ask you 1,000 questions. So maybe we could start with just a little bit about I think your story and background is so cool. Like you were a law mom working at a law firm job. You want to tell us just a bit about your journey and how you went from there to Brad Pitt?
Sure. Let's see. Yes, I started kind of writing seriously my junior year of college, but I knew I was going to go to law school. So I decided to graduate early from college and stayed and taught the LSAT at my college, which
I should have come and found you.
Oh gosh,
not real good.
I don't know how LSAT. I did, but yes. So I did that, and then I knew I was going to go to law school. So I wrote a book during that time, and I got an agent my first year of law school.
Wait. Hold the phone a second. Did you just say you wrote a book during law school? Is that what you said?
Well, I definitely did write a book during law school, but I was talking about, I guess, right before law school because I got an agent off that book. But I wrote several books during law school and several that did not sell. So this isn't like that happy of a law school time in my career. So I got an agent my first year of law school, and that kind of gave me like just enough validation to sort of keep going during law school. That book didn't sell, but I ended up ghostwriting a number of books sort of in an existing middle grade series during my law school time.
Okay, pause. This is how I do it. Am I interrupting? Is it annoying you?
No.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I'm going to pause you. So like ghostwriting a book, can you fill us in? What is that?
Yes. So in this instance, what it was is a lot of like middle grade series like Sweet Valley High or Nancy Drew or those kinds of books are long-running series, and they hire writers to write under sort of a made-up name that goes with the series.
like Babysitter's Club.
Yeah. So I got a job doing that for an existing middle grade series. And that kind of carried me through law school while my parents were very much telling me, like, why don't you just focus on your legal career?
Yeah, like torts.
Yes. Which was, that was a thing that kept going for quite a while in my legal career. Sort of that sense of like, maybe you should just try doing the law thing.
Oh, we're going to have to unpack that a little bit more. I mean, not right this second,
Mhm.
or we'll never finish. Okay, just put a pin. Remember, we're going to talk about the parents. part.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I ended up selling my own book finally as a second-year associate, and wrote a couple books for young adults, for teens, and it was tough. I wasn't like honestly making a ton of money at that point. I definitely could not have supported myself as a writer. But in let's see, 2017, I got the idea for Whisper Network. I'd had a baby recently, and I really just decided to write a proposal for this book in a blur. I think from the day I got the idea to the day we sold it was 3 months, and I was working full time with a small child, and
Wow.
I remember almost none of it.
Yeah. So you wrote the whole book, or like the idea?
I wrote
write-up?
like a 200 pages and like a 30-page synopsis. So still a big chunk of writing.
That's a lot. I never wrote that much of any one thing for sure.
Where were
Yeah.
you working? Were you
I was working
litigating?
at Kelly Hart. No, I always did corporate and securities.
A full-time lawyer,
Full-time lawyer.
newborn
yes.
baby,
Mm-hmm.
book writing.
Yes.
When?
During that time in my life, I don't know. I remember I was telling a girlfriend, a lawyer, after I had kind of sold it and finished it and knew I was going to be able to leave. And I was like, you know what? It wasn't leave being a lawyer. It wasn't that bad. Like it was okay. You know, we got through it. It was a little bit painful. And she said, you were like a nightmare during that time.
You have rose-colored glasses
Yes. Like you were a mess. And because I remember like because I'm part of a book club, I came to my book club like with my laptop and was like weirdly writing during book club. I don't know. It was very strange choices made during that time. You know how we make decisions during stress. Like we've all been them during our practices and stuff. So I took a sabbatical to finish writing the book because they needed it really quickly. And then a little less than a year after that, we got the call that Reese Witherspoon was going to pick it up for her book club, and I drove up to our Fort Worth office and quit.
So you got the Reese Witherspoon call, and you're like, "See ya, Kelly Hart."
Yeah, it wasn't. Yes, that is what happened. I thought I was going to go part-time. I was pregnant with my second child at the time. I thought I was going to go part-time. And as I was driving up to Kelly Hart, I called my husband and I was like, I really don't see how this is going to work. Like being on book tour and being pregnant and having a kid already and trying to work. Like we just got to a point where it just wasn't going to work for us anymore as a family. So I decided on that lovely 3-hour I-35 drive that
you can decide a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think I've made some big decisions
On that 35
exact
drive.
strip of road. I've heard your books referred to as feminist thrillers.
Mhm.
Did you set out? Are you a feminist? Did you think I'm going to write books out of feminism and I'm going to make a statement while I'm entertaining people? Or did that just sort of accidentally pour out of you?
My gosh, can you imagine if I just sat here and was like, no, I'm not a feminist?
Right,
Like
well,
that would
true.
be a wild turn for this podcast. Yes, I am a feminist. So really what it came out of was at the time I started writing Whisper Network, it was a big departure for me going from writing for teens to writing for adults. And I really decided that I wanted to write a book that like reflected more of the life stage I was currently in rather than sort of processing what I'd already been through. So what I really started doing was just like talking to all my girlfriends. Like I had things that had happened to me as a lawyer, and what it felt like to be sort of a working woman, a working mom at the time. I had plenty of stories, but I literally just started like going on walks with some of my law school friends and just asking them pointed questions about their experience. And then I went out from there. I would text my college friends, like our text chain. I would just text like open-ended questions and just see what came back to me. So, Whisper Network has sort of a great course. It has this we point of view in the book, and those voices of like my friends and colleagues and past friends like really kind of became that voice in the book. So yes, I do have a very feminist perspective, but I feel like it is really from talking to my girlfriends and girls I work with and women I work with, and just saying like, okay, what are we thinking about right now? And how are we reacting to these situations? How do we wish we were handling them differently? And just using those as sort of a launch pad.
I was telling you right before the show that as I was reading, I'm halfway through The Husbands, but I read The Whisper Network. They're so, so good. And I was texting Hannah passages, copying and texting. And reading your books to me feels like, do you know when you have a mosquito bite and you start to itch it and you're like it feels so good to itch it, but it also, it's
It
just like it
hurts,
hurts,
yes.
I mean, the I won't go into the details, but there's so much in your books that I resonate with as a lawyer mom.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, my goal is always just that that women sort of feel seen and feel that, I don't know, one of my favorite things in the world is like going to dinner with my girlfriends and telling them something that I'm dealing with them, and having them say back to me, I feel the exact same way, or this is the same thing that happened to me in a slightly different way. And that feeling is so good. And yet, as we get busier and busier as moms and lawyers, we have less and less time sometimes to do those things. Or when we want to have a call, often we're like both making dinner for our kids or something. And so I always hope that my books kind of like provide a stand-in for some of those conversations with your girlfriends, where you can read them and be like, oh yes, this person knows exactly what I'm thinking about right now.
Well, you have succeeded. And I'll just take a quick minute to let our audience know we have a mic here if anybody wants to come up and participate. You can ask your question.
Well, and the part I was pausing at that I feel like so many of us can relate to is what you said, how as you're in law school and you're doing this thing you clearly must love, because law school is insane. We all know that. And you were dealing with that and then still carving out the time to write, right? So that's your art. That's what was like inside of you. Yet the people closest to you, your tribe, right? You're like what is it in your own town? The privilege. Profit in your own town. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, whatever. Sorry. So anyway, to your own family, like we all know you as this, time, but all of that. But they were, discouraging. You're like, hey, can you focus? Like, how did you feel about that? How did you process it? How did you put that in its right place? Because something inside of you said, I've got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
How did you do that? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I really do sort of sympathize with the people that were saying that to me. And I don't think it was malicious, or, there was no like malintent there, because it is a really risky endeavor. It really is hard to make a career as a writer. Any sort of nebulous artistic career is difficult for a lot of reasons to forge a path in, and it's not always a meritocracy, and you can't control every aspect of it. And so it was important to sort of, I would do the same thing to my kids, in that I want them to go in with open eyes. And, being a lawyer, there's very sort of like, your first year, your second year, your third year, you're working for partner. There's just very definable steps that you take in your career, and you can know whether you're meeting them or not. So I don't blame anyone for saying those things. At the same time, it's hard, because I do think I played it safe probably in some situations where I just needed to get some sort of concrete validation. Like those ghostwriting books I took, I definitely had this sense that I just needed a paycheck to be able to wave in people's faces and say, like, somebody is paying me, not very much, but somebody is paying me to write these books. And that felt very important to me at the time. And I think if I didn't feel like I was sort of going against the grain as much, maybe those weren't choices that I would have made.
Well, and I'm thinking practically, because if the people in your life are saying, hey, like, it's really hard to make a living doing this thing you love, and shouldn't you get more serious, and shouldn't you, whatever, did that create self like doubt, or did you have to journal around that? Did you just keep going? Like, how did you cope with that? Do you remember?
I mean, there is no doubt that if I would have gotten better grades probably if I was not doing this. But the thing is I've always had something in me that like if I wasn't pursuing the writing, it would have been something else. Like my little creative ambition will find a home, and it just depends how productive that home is. So I, at the time I really couldn't stop. Like I wanted it so badly when I was in law school that like, I feel like I remember my stomach like actually hurting. Like I really had that fire in my belly at the time. So
Was it
I just
always
couldn't do
like
it.
that?
Yeah, I want to hear more. I don't have
Yeah.
a fire in my belly. I don't
I
think.
guess you have a lot of fires in your belly. Anybody who knows Kate, hush.
Maybe I just don't feel it like a fire. Feels like something.
You
else.
just, your feminist question you just discussed just a second ago.
Yeah.
You stood up a little straighter.
Yeah, that's a fire. That's a fire. Okay, that's a
Like
fire.
literally, we just had an example.
Yeah.
Different show.
I feel like this is going to be like a therapy session for all of us. We're really like about to get into it. Yeah. So here's my therapy session. I feel like I have always been, and I think a lot of women lawyers are, maybe I shouldn't speak for all of us. I don't know. You guys know yourselves. I'm always someone that has really sort of liked brass rings. I like to get my gold star. I'm like, I want to get credit for things. And so I feel like even from high school, I just really wanted to excel at something and be special at something. And certain things that I pursued didn't work out. And then I sort of realized that where I had this natural inclination, I had always been very bookish. I'd always been a huge reader. And I always liked the idea of writing. Sort of when that met this really distant goal that I found for myself, when those two things sort of met, that ambition that can be misplaced sometimes in myself met with a goal that actually did fit my interests, I feel like that's when really things, I don't know, cemented inside me. So yeah, I don't know.
And did it feel like, because I've heard people talk about it like a calling, like a must, like an urge. Can you think about how you would explain it? That sort of creative little fairy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew it was real because when I was rejected, I still wanted to do it. So it wasn't just about, I realized that there was something in the process, and through rejection, I was able to sort of know that I had joy in the process because I was still doing it regardless of not getting results. But yeah, I don't know. What did you ask me?
Well, I was just asking, like, yeah, what it feels. Okay, let me give a little context, because there's a book I always talk about when I go give talks at St. Mary's to law students about the crossroads of should and must.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of it as what's on you versus what's in you. So what we should do, right, is what's on us, our cultural conditioning, all of that, like our parents, our families, our friends, our husbands, whatever. Versus the must is that thing from the inside out. And so I think for some people it feels like I'm called to do this. Like I have this big calling. I think for others it's like this sort of itch. Like I like this sort of, I'm bursting with an idea. I got to get up and write a proposal in 3 months. Right now. So I just wasn't sure if for you, like for instance, okay, we're going to do what we're reading. We're going to go ahead and do the what are you reading thing. And I'm going to talk about Big Magic, which is what I'm reading again by Elizabeth Gilbert. Elizabeth Gilbert, can somebody send this to her? Can you please come on our show someday too? Oh my God. So one time she liked my response to her comment on Instagram or something. So we're basically, it's already a done deal.
Yeah.
But she talks about ideas and creativity and having this relationship with this like muse sort of notion. And so I just didn't know if for you, like conceptualizing something in you generates 2 really famous books, a 3rd one's on the way, let alone all the stuff you did before that. So is it in your mind, do you conceptualize that in any way as a being, a person, a wind, something, a picture, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, one, I think I find work very, very grounding. Like I feel, my family says I'm a terror when I'm not working on a project. Like that energy has to go somewhere. So for me, it's just knowing myself and knowing that I'm going to feel the most grounded through work. And sometimes work for me feels, or I've had this said to me, and I think it's maybe true without analyzing it too much. Like work sort of feels like a form of self-care for me. I will feel just discombobulated if I don't have time to just be in my own head and with the page and getting that done. And then the other is, I guess it's sort of an itch because I'm just incredibly impatient and I want things like now. I want them yesterday. And so
We have no idea what she is.
yeah.
Weird.
I know
That's
you
so
probably
weird.
have many of the same
So patient. Very
goals
zen over
here, and yes. And so what gets me in my seat every day is knowing that if I don't do the work today, then that goal is going to be, another day further. And I just need to be in my chair doing the work to get what I want to get.
Can I ask you a question about, you referenced the goal, and a minute ago you said when something that you love to do aligned with that distant goal back then in law school. What was it then? Was it publishing a book?
Gosh, first it was just, it's terrible because the goalpost is always changing,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, first it was if I could just get an agent, like I would be happy. And then it was, if I could just get one book deal, just one book deal. And then very quickly after that, I feel like it shifted to if I could just be a New York Times bestseller. And now it's a little bit more nebulous, but
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. What is it now?
but it's still moving. I can't put it out into the ether now.
Oh, why? That makes it happen.
No, you got to maintain the energy of it.
Okay.
Oh, the integral imagery.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten more like woo-woo about my writing rather than less as time has gone on.
Oh, like more superstitious-y kind of about it.
I mean, it's not really superstition in that, like, I don't think I can like luck into this or that, but no, well, just yeah. I mean, I guess just more like, oh, things are calling to me. I used to feel very much that I wanted to say, oh, I'm very type A and I'm a type A writer and I don't need inspiration and I can just make it happen and I can, shoulder my way through anything. And then now as time goes on, I'm much more like, I have to keep the energy of an idea. I don't know. I guess I'm letting myself get more precious as time goes on because I feel like I've earned it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think so. That's okay. So we'll do what are we reading? So in Elizabeth Gilbert's book, she talks about she's written a lot of books, books and whatnot, and had Julia Roberts movie and all that. And she would talk about ideas as like fairies that will come and visit you. They're looking for I think it's fairies, like receiving home. So then when it comes to you, and if you don't take it, it's going to pass along and go to the next person.
It's
like,
it's that an idea is looking for a home, and either you are the person that will give it its home, or if not, it will leave you and go searching for another home.
Yeah. So I think that's just, I know I was going to say, so when did you quickly realize you can't just like muscle your type A self to the New York Times bestseller list, or we would all do it, I think.
I don't know. I think it's more just not that I know that can't just be done because there's lots of really talented, great writers whose books I love that it hasn't happened for. So I know there has to be a point to your work other than just the end result, or you will drive yourself crazy. You have to believe in the work, and it's too much of a commitment to write book after book after book and draft after draft if you don't believe in what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's just experience, I guess, that has made me think, okay, that the end result cannot be the daily driver.
Yeah. Okay. What about y'all? We're talking to the author, but what are we reading? Anything good?
I mean, I'm reading your book. I'm reading Husbands. That's it. I'm enjoying it. It's slightly itchy for me. There's the scene in the beginning of the Husbands where she's on the phone with her. It's a Sunday. She's on the phone with a partner at her law firm because his stupid printer's broken, but she doesn't want to ditch him with tech support. So she's like on the phone with her partner who can't handle calling tech support on his own. And her little kid's running around like a banshee. And she's yelling at her husband. And he like pops his head out of the garage and he's got his earbuds in. And he was just like working out. There's this whole section about just like the disappearance, the freedom to just disappear. There's that. There's just like a lot of that going on. You really do capture the life of a working mom, lawyer mom.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was so
sure.
good.
Yeah.
What about you, Chandler? Reading anything right now?
Yes, I am reading Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So it's the new Taylor Jenkins Reid book. If people read Daisy Jones and the Six or Seven Husbands. So it's the newest in that line. And it is about a tennis star trying to make her comeback about 10 years after the height of her powers. And I don't know, it's really just about like female ambition and how likable we expect women who are in the pursuit of very difficult accomplishments to be along the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you get idea fairies? Do they just come to you in the night? Do you carry around a little notebook for when your fairies visit? How do you do this?
Ooh, I feel like it's the only way it can come is through sort of this mixture of sitting at my desk and like banging my head against the wall, trying to force an idea, and then stepping away and just giving it the side eye. So I won't get the idea if I'm not doing that time at my desk trying to come up with it, but I also probably won't get the idea at my desk. But I think both of those factors have to be present for the idea to materialize. So usually it'll come like on a walk, or my latest book idea it was like I can picture it. We were on a drive with our kids, visiting my parents in Florida, and I had like almost the whole idea. So
do you just like very quickly write it down, or how do you secure it?
Usually I'll tell my husband a version of the idea, and he looks at me like I'm insane, almost always. And then, I'll write it down in my phone. And then I am somebody that gets a lot of ideas. So I have a very scientific process of deciding whether it's an idea I'm going to pursue, which is, do I have like the buzzy feeling, which I swear is a physical sensation, and it has to last for, a couple days or so for me to know like if the buzzy feeling sticks. And then if it's a buzzy feeling, then maybe I'll pitch it to my agent and editor and all that.
Do you want to hear more about this buzz? I want to hear more about the buzz.
Yeah. Because I experience in the woo of it all.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I feel like whatever's kinds of fairies and whatnot are out there, spirit guides, angels, universe, God, whoever, I get input in bodily sensation. So for instance, I know if I'm really on to something or channeling or speaking from a place, it's happening right now. I get a chill.
Mm-hmm.
Chill. So I know I'm sort of in the flow and I'm in the space.
Yeah.
So because I get a lot of ideas too, not
Mm-hmm.
New York Times bestselling author ideas.
Well, you don't know yet.
But maybe. But ideas for all kinds. I'm like, Kate knows. I go,
That's a good idea.
if I do, like the people in my life now are like, what is it? So yeah, I think.
And are they all good ideas? If you get the like, are you like, I need to pursue that, or are some of them duds?
If I get the feeling this, it seems like it's usually,
I can't think of a bad one.
Yeah. And
but
I'm
it's instant for you. You're just, instantly that it's
it's like, I do have a real knowing thing. So like,
Okay.
this, and it's not that I feel like I'm right. It feels like a gift to me that I'm sharing. So it's not in my own mind to me. It's like a receipt. I received something that I'm transferring to us. And so it's like, I think it's a good idea. And it would probably seem, I think, if you're around me, that I think I have good ideas. And like, it's because it's my idea, I like it. I'm like, no, it's not. It doesn't feel like that. It's just like, I just happen to know that this is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, lots of other things, I don't care. I never say I know. I'm easy, but like certain things when it's like about an idea.
And what if somebody challenges it? Does the knowing stick, or is it vulnerable?
Oh no, it's not vulnerable.
Okay, that's good. That's nice.
If I know, I like poke it and listen and whatever, but if it's like a no, and to me, it feels like this, a no in me. No, there's no move in me.
Okay.
See, I know that I have it. I have a really strong intuition, but I haven't tapped into it yet. I'm like learning.
But did you get the buzzy feeling when you guys talked about starting this podcast?
I got excited. Yeah. I didn't experience a bodily sensation.
Okay.
So for me, the way it went, I think in that moment when we were like doing the show, or we were talking about doing the show at first, like it seems like, there's something to that. And like, I didn't have this, I mean, I sort of, that bubbled up in more of a like, maybe we should. It wasn't the same. However, we were thinking, because the show was at first going to be called, because you think of doing only a LinkedIn live show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be LinkedIn Live. The original idea was called Law Moms Are LinkedIn, because I've seen some people doing that. I thought, okay, but not quite right. And I remember I had listened to the Hamilton soundtrack and the part where he's talking about like, right, like you're running out of time. And he wrote the other 51, about the papers. And then I was walking up the steps and I went, oh my God, it's called Law Moms Out Loud. And I knew, and there was like no question, like that's the name, that's it. So the name, it feels like a click almost to me, like click, like it's done, it's in the book of life or whatever, it is just decided. So the show idea itself was like, that's cool. But the name, I was like, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. And that was a gift. The other was maybe from my mind or our mind out of a group mind. And then the name though was a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still in the phase of whatever my development is where I still need a little bit of proof before I know. It's like a download, it's somebody's got to prove it to me. And then I'll have the trust.
Well, maybe you're not supposed to develop out of that. Maybe that's just how you process things. That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Katie.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, because my job too is with Kate will say something and then she'll want like a little validation in it or the proof or whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. And I say to her, Kate, you know this, right? You know this. You don't need me to tell you. You don't like, wait a minute. That's a good idea because you had it, right? Mm-hmm. So a little bit of, that's probably a way we support each other of that versus you saying like, okay, wait, hey, Hannah has an idea. Like, stop, let's listen for a second.
But see, like, I'm just saying, I mean, a chill or a buzz would be pretty handy.
You get it. Remember? You do. Kate forgets. She has short-term amnesia at herself.
I feel like it's just that feeling of sort of like energy where you're like, I have to do something. I have to take some action. And sometimes it leads me astray, I will say.
Well, another part that we do on the show, Chandler, is we talk about our dominant thought of the week. Now, we found that, in a day, you may have a whole lot of different thoughts. You may have, 1,000 thoughts in a day, but in general, weeks seem to have a theme. And a friend had brought this concept to me and I just loved it so much. Of what's the thing that's really, I've been noodling on this week and really considering. So, okay, you want to go first on
mine feels a little bit trite, but I'm noodling on it. And that's about sugar intake. I was doing really, really well, having no sugar. And then I sort of, you fall off the wagon? Is that what you do?
Yeah, you fall off.
I fell off the wagon. And then I got back into sugar. And the more I have sugar, the more I want sugar. And so every night I'm like, I'm not going to have sugar. And then I end up having sugar, for a couple of weeks. So I'm like, my dominant thought that I'm noodling is like, really, Kate, just stop the sugar. And then you won't want so much sugar. So
that is sugar is tough.
It's so addictive.
Well, you know what I think helps?
What?
Cinnamon Altoids.
Okay.
If you eat cinnamon, if you think you want something sweet and you eat like 10 cinnamon Altoids, you'll be fine. You won't care anymore.
Okay.
It's true. That's why we always have them at the office. Some kind of mints.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe you could make a deal. That's just an idea.
Okay.
Make a deal with yourself. Like, I won't have that ice cream or whatever until I've made myself have 10 cinnamon Altoids. And if I still want it after that, okay, fine then.
Okay. That's better because sometimes I punish myself by like just brushing my teeth. And that's so not.
What if I brush those teeth again? That is not going to do it for me. Well, Chandler, do you have a dominant thought?
Oh, okay. So let's see. I was in LA this past week for a bunch of meetings
Just
for work.
for work.
No, it's not like that, but just for meetings. And I had a woman say to me, who I respect, she, told me that that I shouldn't fall into the trap of like politing myself to death, and that I needed to, be sort of like the best steward of my own career, and push even with people that feel unpushable to me, or like people that I'm kind of scared to squeaky wheel because of their station. So yeah, I've been thinking about that this week and what that's going to look like. And
have you had a chance to exercise it yet? That advice?
No, but I could have the chance, but I have not taken the chance. But I think I will. I'm just kind of trying to figure out, there's a line, right? So, you do want to be pushy, but you want to do it in the right way. And
Yeah, I'm always struggling a little bit with that line. Pushy, but in the right way.
I think all
You just don't want to
women-
do it in the right way, or you just struggle to
I'm
be
just
pushy?
pushy.
Okay.
So
That's good. That's
I mean,
good.
to an extent, I say that because like I know what you mean, especially when you're sort of intuitive. Y'all are laughing a little too hard. This whole room thinks that's very funny. Rude. Anyway, I think we're all here because I'm a little pushy, if I do say so myself. But I think for me too, it's like interpersonally, you know what you might do to like with a friend, but when it comes time, like ain't nobody gonna do nothing for you.
Yeah.
You have to go out there and get it for you
Mhm.
and make your own way. But then it's also like still juggling that. But I think don't polite yourself to death. Was that what it said? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just a good, I think we do that. Like that's some good fodder for your books. There is like,
Mhm.
we all like the eggshell thing at home. Like don't
Mhm.
polite yourself to death at home. Don't polite yourself to death just in our regular law jobs, right? Like I think one of the things that lawyers fall into, especially bigger firms, is just do really good work. If you
Mhm.
just do really good work and do what you're told and say yes to projects and whatever, then you'll be rewarded and you'll be a partner or whatever someday. No,
Mhm.
you will not. That is not how it goes. You got to go out there and get yours. And the people I think who really make it and make it faster in different things, I mean, they just, hustle. My dominant thought this week really is more about trust and faith, because those concepts for me, it's hard. Even when I say the words, I'm sort of like, "Ugh, it tastes like too sweet pudding or something like that," because they were very tied up in churchiness for me. And trust and faith meant church and what that was. And that's evolved for me over time significantly. I realize now I believed and thought and felt the same things then in my spirit, but I didn't have any language or like way to talk about that. And so to think now about trust and faith in this greater sense of like the universe and all of us and energy and us all being one and that whole sort of thing is what I'm thinking about, like reclaiming, I guess, the words trust and faith as not to sort of make me a little nauseous anymore of like that whole thing and how it can be. And instead to bring that forward into my daily life. Like for instance, I'm there like at the firm, my law firm. So I do the family law and estate planning, and the firm's grown a whole lot. And as you grow, you have to build out this infrastructure and capacity. And then you need to have the stuff for those people to work on. And it's just this constant, and Kate can say more about this than me, but it gets big and you get more people and then more people come in and you just kind of go through these phases. So I'm at the part where I have, that capacity and that's grown out, and it's time to move to the next step of growth in terms of clients and things like that, which can feel a little shaky. Like, okay, if you build it, they will come, right? Like, right. And just that trust and faith of like, I'm doing, I don't think and
See, I have the proof.
yeah, yes. I'm not a big need. Somewhere awesome. But like that I'm doing the work, right? So it's about like for you sitting down at the computer. I think that's your work act. You're not just like, out at the pool doing nothing all day. So you're demonstrating commitment to the craft, but then also understanding that so much of it is just outside your control. You've done all the things you can do, and then you delegate the rest to the powers that be. So just like doing that faith and doing that trust and the ease in that is the lesson that I'm learning. My big thought this week. So last part is the gold stars. This is like our favorite. We love really talk about gold stars. We like gold stars so much. We made a whole podcast so we could give ourselves, right? So I think Kate, do you want to go first?
Yes. So this gold star I want to share with Fidel and Yunwen and Paula, but this whole situation we're dealing with here, this kit, the soundboard, the mics, this all happened in less than a week. And we have this show today, this mobile show, and we have another show next Friday with Lily Shepard Carter in Phoenix. And we thought we've got to have a professional podcast situation that can go on the road. And it happened. We found the person to get the equipment, the people to set it up. Fidel's doing a very good job. Diana behind the scenes. all y'all. And like, look, here we are. Everything's working.
Yes.
So that's a gold star.
That's a double gold star.
Yeah.
Everybody can have a gold star who's here. You got any gold stars? What do you think?
Gosh, I've been actually doing like a slightly better job this week of accomplishing things in my life bucket, like just like life admin tasks. And I've got my taxes done this week.
That is so big.
Yeah,
Yes, all the
I get a
snaps,
lot
all
of
the
credit
snaps.
for
Like
it.
when-
Really.
I
And
mean,
it's more than before October 14th. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just really
I know.
impressive.
Really?
I'm still me and the accountant. We're in a bit of a standoff to see what's going to happen by the 15th. It's funny once you're a business owner too. You're like, taxes April 15th.
Yeah.
So cute for you. Oh, you filed your W-2. That was probably hard for you to download it from your email and send it in. Sorry. Can you see a little tax trauma?
That's very true.
It is, right? Like, I mean, we're all laughing because it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but
Um,
at some level, you have a person who handles it for you. Like you do it, you struggle with the W-2, then it gets too complex, and then you have a CPA.
Yeah. But they want stuff
Yeah,
out
but
of
you
you.
gotta
They do
give
want
them you
stuff,
gotta
yeah.
compile things.
Yeah, I know, it's
And
so annoying.
find it.
Yeah.
It's all,
And do it because I like the worst kind of accountant client. I'm like, oh crap, it's October 1st. I think taxes are due soon. I think you can still do it on time. I'm really, and every time I'm like, and really, you can fire me. I'm sorry. I'm the worst kind.
No, because you refer so much business to her.
Yeah.
She's not gonna fire you.
Yes. I am a good business. I'm good at that.
Yes.
Okay. So my gold star. Oh, shoot. My gold star.
Oh, this morning, you got your.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I was like, do I have any? Is today I did my very first mammogram in Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we're pretty excited because we are going to have, thank you, Fidel's giving me snaps. over
Fidel's
there.
the best. He has like 100 sisters, so he's really good about the girl stuff.
100 sisters. Oh, I need more information about that, Fidel.
He gets the gals.
And so we have a guest coming up later this month. We're going to do a special show. She's a breast cancer survivor, local in Austin, a friend of my son's. It's his mom. And we were at a happy hour and she was telling her story. I was so super moved by it. And I had been at the OBG and they'd been like, oh, your insurance will cover a mammogram now. But why don't we just do it next year? I was like, why would we wait? She's like, well, because you have to come back. And I was like, oh, forget it. I'd come back to the doctor. Like, no. And so anyway, then my friend was sharing this story and y'all need to watch that episode. It's really moving. And before I left the parking lot from that happy hour, I sent a message like, I need to get scheduled for my mammogram. And so I did that. That's my gold star. I did it today. It took like the actual part about 3 minutes from
Really?
get changed to walking out the door. I mean, maybe 4.
You must have had a good nurse person because mine had to keep redoing and redoing.
No, it was kind of what that sounds like a personal problem, Katie.
I'll share it all.
I know. So look forward to that episode. It's coming up soon. So that's my gold star.
Good job.
And then, okay. So Chandler, thank you so much. Is there anything
Thank you.
you think to cover special? What about, do we have a title for the book that's coming out?
Yes, it's called Cutting Teeth, and it'll be out in July 2023.
Oh, so exciting. So if it's out in July, it's already like done. File print.
Yeah, we've printed advanced copies, but I'll go through copy edits still and sort of all the, I don't know, the someone that goes through and actually checks your punctuation and make sure not every day in the book is Friday, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that would make every day in my book Friday if I could.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often I just ignore the laws of the universe in terms of time and calendars. And
well, I really hope you'll consider once that happens in July, maybe a roundabout way, we'll just come back and come on Law Moms and talk about the next one.
Of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a contract. Did y'all hear it? I heard it. Tell that agent she's booked. Okay. Well, I super appreciate it. So much fun.
Thank
Always
you.
great to talk to you. And thanks everybody who joined to watch and everybody who's here in person. And I'm sorry, online people, we are now going to have a fun book club without y'all. So I guess next time you'll just have to come see us in person.
Yep.
Yeah. Next time. Next week, tune in. We've got Lily Shepard Carter and doing a book launch, another author.
Wait, you want me to say the title?
Oh, yes. Kate this has been her moment. Are you ready?
Pleasure principles for driven women.
She likes the mic. The mic is giving her certain power.
I like the title too.
I know, it's so good. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Bye, guys.